Hi, I'm Lois Cunningham, and I was born the last day of December of 1915. My parents was Rollin Oro Cunningham and Effie Mae Allen, and their parents, Dad's parents, was Lorenzo Dow Cunningham and Elizabeth Owen, Hannah Elizabeth Owen. And Mother's parents was Nathan Woodson Allen and Clara Colinda Cole Allen. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't guess they was at Beloit before Columbus discovered it probably. But my parents came from Beloit in 1897. And I have never been back to Beloit then when I was a kid. I never did see none of my grandparents. I've always said I got shortchanged. And my parents went back rarely, but I had to stay home and milk the cows. And, well, that's about as far back as I can go on ancestors. My dad was born at Falls City, Nebraska. And he came, I don't think that's too far from Beloit, because Beloit's pretty well on the north edge of Kansas, and that Nebraska joins it on the north. And he came to Beloit when he was young. And his mother died when he was 15. She died of TB. And he had one sister older than him, Aunt Ella. And they had 7 or 8 kids, and my grandpa, Lorenzo Dow, never did marry again. He kept the kids all there and raised all those children by himself. And so Pop was kind of like a father, a parent to them, Dad and Aunt Ella, to the younger children. And after my folks came down here, none of the rest of them moved down here. My Uncle Walter came down a time or two. Dude's mother, Frances Langley, she also came from Beloit. And when her and my parents got together, that's all they talked about. Dude and I used to say when we died, we didn't know if we'd really go to heaven or just back to Beloit. And my Frances was coming down on the train. And in those days, young ladies didn't travel unescorted. So my Uncle Walter brought her down, escorted her down on the train and visited my parents. Of course, this was before I was born. And see, my older brother Harold was 3 months old when they come down. That would have made it right in the middle of the winter because he was born in September. But I do think that's what Mother said. And after so many years, they got cold and hungry and discouraged and went back to Beloit for a period of time.
Your parents did?
Yes. See, Harold was born in Kansas before they come down. Then Wilbert was born on the home place there.
So when they came down, how did they travel?
But the team, covered wagon. And I don't know if those people were dumb or brave. They put everything they had in the wagon, or tied it on the outside, or led it, or drove it. And of course, most of them didn't have much to lose. It was a new beginning. And the government gave them each one 160 acres of land. But now they had lots of hardships. They had a different set of problems to what we have. All they had to worry about was food, clothing, and shelter, and Indians and prairie fires. And
so what year did they come to Oklahoma?
they come back in 1911. They kept in touch with people down here. My Uncle Charlie Allen and Lyman Moss and them had always wrote back and forth. And see, there wasn't no town of Visay, and they had to take their cream or their grain and hogs and cattle and everything to Woodward or to Moreland. Well, see, that was a 2 or 3 day trip with a team and wagon. And one of these people that I named wrote them and told them a railroad come through. And there's a little town named Visay sprung up here. We got a place to sell our produce now. So they came back in 1911. Dad had been here a little bit before Mom came, and he stayed at the McCracken family, the Kurt McCracken family. Their land joined our land on the south. And he stayed with them, and he built a 2-room frame house. And it was the first frame house around. Now, many of the settlers, when they came, they just lived in the wagon till they could make a dugout. See, they had no water or nothing. They'd have to put down a well and all that stuff. So they built this two-room frame house, and the land had been laid out in section lines. And I don't remember when it set over there quite a ways by the apricot tree. But then when they came back in 1911, section lines had been laid out. And they wanted to move it over to the road. And the men came with their horses to move it. And my Uncle Charlie Allen always had good horses. And Tom Moss was known for his good horses. And Weller's told me this over and over. Uncle Chris Bennett had a team of old white mules. He called them old Cub and Jenny. And Cub and Jenny couldn't move the house. He'd say, "Cuss it, Cub, come on." And Tom Moss hooked his big horses on and pulled it. And Uncle Chris turned green with envy. And of course, this is all before I was born. After, well then, let's see, that was 1911 when they come back. Let's see, Harold was born in Kansas. Then Welber and Ruth was born here on the home place.
And these are all your brothers and sisters?
Then they went back to Kansas, and Glenn's brother was born up there. Then they come back down here and had Lita and Oral and me.
You're the baby?
Oral was younger than me. Wasn't so much younger than you. To you, they're always a kid. See, he was past 70, about 75 when he died, and to me, he was always a kid, because he was younger than me. And then, let's see, I come along in 1915. Well, I've heard my mother tell this. They organized a school district. And my dad was on the school board by the time it was organized, but it dissolved. And my Uncle Charlie Allen was on the school board. And he said to May, that was my mother, "Now, May, when it comes time to name the new school district, you suggest Fairview." Said, "I can't say nothing because I'm on the board. But we went to school at Fairview back at Lois. So you tell them what next." So we did. It was named Fairview.
The school that you attended?
Yes. It was just a stone's throw south of where Mildred McDonald lives now. And the only way there is to tell where it was now is where the gate was. There's two big crescent posts there. And it had a cistern, and we relied on rainwater for drinking. And of course, old dry Oklahoma would walk down there to the neighbors where Mildred lives now. She didn't live there, but other people did. Walk down there and get a bucket of water. And I started school. My first teacher was a boy named William Hard. And I suppose I was 6 when I started. And we walked across the field there, almost all together. It had to be real bad if they took us. Once in a while, if it was real muddy and rain and stuff, Glenn would ride one horse and lead one, and we'd all get to ride home. And see, my father didn't have a car till 1925, and so it was very rare that anybody came and got us. We learned a lot in them schools. Now, I used to always get paddled and have XXX on my card for whispering too much.
You did?
Talked in class.
You got paddled at school?
Well, whispered.
Oh, I didn't.
Or I didn't whisper much, I talked out loud.
And so it was just the one-room school, and you had little all
8
the way
grades.
8 grades in there?
And my folks always told me if I got a whipping at school, I'd get another when I got home. So I soon learned not to tell them anything about it. I learned lots of things at school, see.
So you'd get up early, and would you go straight to school, or did you have things to do before
Oh,
school?
no, we had to milk all them cows. Berlin and I was the chore boys. Lita stayed at the house and helped Mother. And we tried to have the chores done before school time. And we didn't have to be there till 8:30. And our lunches was very different from what they have now. We had what was left from breakfast, usually biscuits or sausage or whatever was breakfast. And it was a real treat to have bought bread or bought cookies. All we had was homemade stuff.
What, did you play games? Did you have a recess time?
Yeah, we had recess both morning and afternoon and a noon. We didn't have no gym, but we had a goal up. We played basketball.
Did you?
And baseball and swings and ticker-totters. And there was a coal shed, a lean-to built on the back of the house. And the teacher said, if anybody climbed up on that's going to get a whipping. Well, of course, we all run out and climbed right up on it. And when I slid down, I got a big sliver of my rear end. And I didn't want her whipping me on that sliver, but I had to. She told me to have one of the girls go with you to the toilet. Of course, we didn't have no bathrooms. And I didn't want to turn my rear up in front of all them boys, so Ruth Moss and I went to the old outdoor toilet, and she rescued the sliver and got me back in business. And Mother quite often had her bread coming out of the oven just as we got home. Oh boy, that hot bread, we was just starved. We had very sorry lunches, so we were sure ready to eat. And we always changed our clothes. We had 3 sets of clothes, your school clothes, your dress clothes, and your short clothes. We always put on our short clothes and start right out to try to get the chores done before dark. And we had very little money and went very little. And let me see, of course my father was a minister and an elder in the church before I was born. So we always put a high priority on going to church. And I went to school and church, and that's just about it. I got to town very little, maybe 3 times a year. And you could get a bottle of pop or a ice cream cone for a nickel, and boy, they were a real treat. Well, I graduated to 8th grade there, and I never did go any farther. I've always grieved because I didn't get to go to school. Well, I always liked school. I got a pencil box in the 6th grade because I said the multiplication table's through without a mistake from 1 to 12. The teacher was so afraid she'd make a mistake that she had another lady come with her that day to help her 5th graders. I always wish I'd saved that thing, but I don't know where it is. And then I worked around for my older sisters and brothers and got a little money. We had to milk because we had to have that cream check. It's all the money we had.
So you take all that then to Viside and sell it?
Take the cream to Viside and ship it out. Blue Valley Creamery or something like that. And then there were several produce stations in Viside, and you kids don't even know what that is. But you took your cream and eggs there and sold them first. You never knew exactly what your money'd be. Maybe cream and eggs would be up or down. So we'd go there and sell them. Maybe take in a few old hens or hide off of a skunk or something. Or hide off a cow when we butchered. And so that was your first stop. And I've seen Mother write out her list and tell Dad, now, if there isn't enough money for this, I need this, where should I do that? Well, as I said, I worked for my older sisters and brothers to get them money. And John Parry's over here had a new baby, Louise. This is in 1933. August, Louise was born. And I was the hired girl.
To babysit or?
No, in those days, when women had a baby, they went to bed and stayed for 10 days. And they hired a girl to do the general housework. And as you know, this was before bathrooms. And I was coming out of their door with a pot in my hand. And I met dude coming in. So how's that for a romantic beginning?
And that was the first time you'd met him?
It just seems ridiculous that we grew up 4 miles apart and didn't know each other, but this is true. I'd heard my cousins, the Allen kids here, was just a mile from them, and I'd heard them talking, but I didn't know him.
And was he, how much older was he than you?
He's 7 years. Well, he's from August to December '06. Part of the time he'd be 7.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't start dating right then.
How old were you then when you first met him?
In 33. Well, I'd been 15, I'd been 18.
18?
Mm-hmm.
Did you think he was cute?
Yeah. And then, I don't know whether I should tell you this one or not. We were going to the Bat Caves. Kelly Cathy drove the school bus and took a whole bunch of kids to the Bat Caves.
Was that Alabaster?
Yes,
Mhm.
they call them the Bat Caves in. And dude was in like he was all through his life. Couldn't get the milking done in time to go. So him and Sam Sumter come up later in the car. Well, this is before the caverns had electricity. And they had a Delco plant out there you cranked up to light up the lights. Well, they couldn't get it started. Well, dude and Sam had been drinking their beer. They was feeling pretty foxy. So they run over there and cranked that motor. So we got to go through. And I never will forget this one. Kelly was the bus driver, and there were several married couples on there, and Ray Odell was in the crowd, and Kelly was backing up, and he said, "There's a ditch back here. Ray, look out, see how much farther back I can go." Ray said, "Half inch." And then Dude wanted me to ride home with him, and I wouldn't because he'd been drinking beer. We had a theater in Bayside then, and the John Deere Company put on a show every year. Of course, it was just machinery and showing their new things and what they could do. But of course, when you'd never been to a show, it was a real treat. Oh, everybody went. And Frank, Terrell, and Ivy were there this after they were married. And Dude was talking to them, and I come by, and he went and yelled at me. And they always told everybody they got us started to going. Well, there was a tent show coming down that night time. Art Name's Tent Show. Now this is a vaudeville. It's a real live players, and they were quite a treat. And they were selling popcorn. And Dude bought a box of popcorn, and it had a lucky number in it. And we drew a bedspread. So then we got married so we could both use it. Granddad Parry's lived here, and Lou, which is Dude's father, was just a boy. I think he said 15 or something like that when they came here. And he was still living at home, just a single boy living home. And Frances Langley had came down on the train from Beloit, and she had relatives over in the Riverview area. That's out east of Camargo. And her brother-in-law brought her up here. Granddad Parry was on this school board. He had helped organize the district and gave it his name. The old cellar's still standing there. And Lou was a kid at home. And I suppose he was kind of woolly, and he had a gun on. And Frances, fresh out of this normal school and been living in town all her life, he looked terrible to her. And when they drove out, Uncle True said, "Frances, there's your future husband." And she just booted at him. That was too ridiculous to even consider. But they did marry then, and Christmas Eve of 1901. And Beverly still has the gold watch Frances bought. It was a big round watch with, it's closed on both sides, you know. There's a thing on top you push and it flies up. And she wore it on a pin here. And after her death, of course, it went to Agnes because she's the only daughter. And Agnes said, "I've got 2 daughters and I can't choose. John's got 2 daughters and I can't choose. Duke just got 1 daughter, so we get it to Beverly." So I took it to Woodward and had it put on a chain. And that dealer said, "Where in the world did you get this?" And I told her I'll have her hit if she ever gets rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "If you're ever tempted to..."
And why did she buy it? For her wedding day, or
No,
just-
for school. She tells
She
time
wore
to
it.
teach
Mhm.
school.
And so she was, who is she? She was Grandpa's mother, or
Yeah, I'm Dude's mother.
Grandpa's mother was named Frances
Frances
Langley
Langley.
with an
Yeah.
A, and she was the teacher at the Parry School.
She wasn't the first one. At one time, Parry School had such a big enrollment, they had 2 rooms. They had Granddad's house. This was after Granddad was dead. This house was empty. They had the schoolhouse and this house, not this house, but one here, and had 2 teachers. Oh, maybe they'd be 50 students.
And what is what was the cellar? Was that just where they kept stuff that's still there?
It was more for a storm shelter,
Uh-huh.
I think. They didn't keep it. And I've heard the Dude tell about how one night at Halloween, they got a buggy up on top of the schoolhouse. They talked about what the kids do now. They took that buggy up and set it astraddle of that peak. I'm married October the 2nd, 1937, and I was 21. I would be 22 in December. And Dude was 28 in August before we got married.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, we had plenty of time to raise a big family and have all sorts of fights after that. So we don't hurry about that marriage business.
So where'd you guys live when you got married?
We had a 2-room house up there, you know, where Dude's growed up, where Grandma Parry lived.
Mm-hmm.
We had a house up on the hill. And after we moved down here, we sold it to Sweet Doer, and he still lives in it. He's built a lot more onto it and around it. And Dude and Sweet moved that house with 2 tractors.
Swede?
Leonard Doer. He goes to Swede. That is neither of their names, Dude or Swede.
Yeah.
And Dude said the way he got her, Frances told me, she hated nicknames. So when he was born, her husband called him Dude just to tease her. Well, he went through life that.
Yeah, he
A
did.
lot of people didn't know he had any other names. He would get mail addressed to Dude, and particularly the younger people wouldn't know he had any other name. And Don and Jerry was both born up there at the same place where Dude was. And then we moved down here, and the rest of them was born down here. And Don went his first year of school to Parry School. Dude's dad, Lou, went to school here. Then Dude did, and Don went 1 year.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
And John's kids, I think they all went over there. No, Larry and all of them, but John's older kids all.
Of course, you had a midwife when you had the kids, and
Yeah.
just go into the bedroom and
And
have them. And
what bedroom? We just had 2 rooms when we lived up there with Grandma's. We didn't have no bedroom or no bath.
kitchen and a living room. Is that?
You ate in the kitchen and slept in the living room. My parents raised 7 kids in a 2-room house. And they moved into that house, what you know as Grandpa's house, before I was a year old. I was born in that 2-room house.
So you lived there and had Don and Jerry, and then what'd you do?
Moved down here, we bought a house in Visay and had it moved down here. And we moved down here and had the rest of them. And we moved up to Allen Place where Tom was born. And this was harvest, understand, and harvest was always a wild, hectic time. And my sister-in-law, Elsie, said, oh, why don't you come to my house to have the baby? Just let Dude and the boys worry over that harvest, and I'll take care of you. So I did. He was born down there at Welders. When we were married, Dude had, now this here, Dude's dad was Lou, and he had a brother, Charlie, that had never married. And when their parents died, they left this place, this 160, to Lou and Charlie. So when Lou died, why, of course, his heirs, his 3 kids, got his half. And when Uncle Charlie died, he left his half to the 3 of them. So Dude had an interest in it when we were married. We've been paying taxes on this land ever since 37. I guess if it's not mine, but now it's never going to be. And we, let me see, in 44, just before Harlow was born, we bought what you know was the Fox place up there. 160 acres with all the mineral rights for 3,700. Now, I didn't say thousands, I said 100. And then later, Eva Sherrill died, and Jimmy sold that 80 over there. And then, of course, when Frances died, why, her 3 kids got it, and Duke bought Agnes's share out. And John's kids have still got his 53 acres. She had 160. See, that's 53 acres for the friend. And it's still in John's kids.
How did Grandpa support you and the kids?
Grandpa or me, neither one, never did have any off-farm income. That don't mean we always had plenty of money. We had some hard times, but we were pretty well on a footing with our neighbors. They was all pretty much in the same boat. I never did work away from home. He didn't either. I never had stayed all night by myself till he went to Woodward Hospital.
And what happened when he went? What happened to him?
This last time, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It was kidney failure. But see, he went to Woodward on Harlow's wedding anniversary. We was up there at Dixie's, don't you remember? Well, that's the first time I've ever stayed all night by myself.
And didn't Grandpa have a heart attack when he was younger, Grandma?
Oh, yeah, he was in the hospital several days, but had all them kids.
Yeah.
And see, Don and Jerry was pretty good size. And I never had to stay totally by myself. It was left around. Yes, he got his hand in a combine belt and about got it tore off. And that was a terrible summer. I was about ready to have Beverly. And then when the wheat started getting ripe, I started that sneezing. That hay fever tormented the gizzard out of me. My parents' death, we let the land go out of the family. And the new landlord didn't want the house, so we bought the house that I grew up in and moved it down here. and lived in it about 30 years. And that,
Was that the house that was beside this one? The
Yes.
one I remember?
and we wound up and got, I hated to part with it. After Dude wanted this new house so bad, he had the blueprint picked out and everything, but we just couldn't do everything and get to it. So after his death, I said, oh no, we won't be able to fix the old one up a little. And they carpenters started in on it, and they said it's gonna cost a lot more to restore this than it is to build a new one. Don said, how attached are you to that old house? Well, I'm always money conscious. All things considered, if it's gonna come out more expensive than the new one, I'll take the new one. It had weathered, it had sheltered two big families through all kinds of storms. Grow up, face reality, nothing lasts forever. So I sold it once and gave it away twice and wound up paying the ag boys to tear it down.
What do you mean you gave it away twice?
I gave it to Carl twice.
For the lumber in it?
And we gave up on him ever getting it out. He was going to, but I don't know when.
Have you regretted it?
No. No, we should have built this house 40 years ago. I can't look out that back door without seeing Dude, because he was always cold. He could sit there with the sun shining on the glass and been warm and see the cattle and watch the wildlife. We were very hard, money was very scarce, and a man come over and wanted me to go stay with his mother-in-law. She was crippled on a cane, and he said there won't be much to do. It's hardly worth anything, but we'll pay you $1.50 a week. Well, that looked pretty big to me. The new Montgomery Ward catalog came out, and it had a coat in there, and I wanted a black coat with a black fur collar. And I knew they just one way I was going to have it. So I took the job. Well, there wasn't much to do. I milked 2 or 3 cows and took care of a herd of chickens and washed on the board and done all the housework. But I had leisure time even at that. And then there was a man across the road. His last name was Harvey, opened up a cotton field, and Paul May Humbert walked, she'd milk her 2 or 3 cows in the morning and walk over there, and I'd have mine milked. It was a mile. We walked another mile to pick cotton. Now, I do mean pick cotton. I don't mean we're snapping bows. There's a vast difference. And I made more money there than I did on the $1.50 a week. And I endured all the agonies there is of being homesick. And of course, these modern kids say, well, why didn't you go home? You're just 4 or 5 miles from home. Granted, I was, but that'd been quite a little walk for me between milkings. And Pop would come get me every Sunday morning, and I'd go home all day Sunday.
He can get you on the horse?
No, we had Model T, but they had, yeah, the first Model T Dad got was 10th of June of 1925. And when he come home with it, every kid on the place learned to drive. And I've been driving ever since.
How much was your fur coat your coat you wanted?
$9.98.
$9.98.
And I figured that up at $1.50 a week.
Yeah, so it took you most of the winter to get your coat.
Well, it would have if I hadn't pulled cotton. And no, I don't mean snap bows. And when I was a mere child, that big OG&E line went from Woodward to Tologa. And it went past my home place. You do know where I grew up, don't you? And we said then, my, wouldn't it be wonderful if the farmers could have electricity? Woo, that won't never happen.
So when did you get electricity?
And the April of 44 for Harlow was born. We're on OG&E, but REA didn't come in until a little bit later than that. But see, that line went from Woodward to Tologa and a mile south up here. It took a spur line off to go to Woodward. So people along that spur line got on OG&E. This is when the war was on, and everything about the units. If you was milking enough cows or feeding hogs or producing eggs or vegetables or anything to justify the expense of building the line, the neighbor across the road and us pooled our units and got it down here.
And you didn't have, of course, a highway. It was just dirt roads. Is that what this was here?
This was paved, you know. And every time it rained, somebody got stuck. Dude would have to go pull them out with a tractor. And one night, people got stuck up west on the hill here. Now, this is before Beverly was born. And They were from New Mexico, and they'd been to Arkansas or someplace for a funeral. And they got stuck up there, and they sat in the car, and it got real cold and froze them down. And then they walked down here the next morning, and they couldn't pull them out with a tractor, you know, without bringing the frame because it was froze down so solid. And they had a little dog that kept it in the house. And Lonnie wasn't used to that. Lonnie just started walking. And so he'd follow it around with a little stick and slap at it. And it'd turn around and snap and bite it all the time. In the summer '49 is when they paved this road. Jerry always liked flowers. And he planted coxcomb, and it had grown up great big right under my window. There's 3 little windows on that bedroom. And I could see it out the window. And they tell this one now that Harlow got around and told Lonnie to go cut that coxcomb off and bring Mama a bouquet while she's in bed. Of course, Harlow knew Jerry would kill it for sure. And I thought Jerry and Mary between them was going to kill him. He took the butcher knife and cut it off and brought it in to me. And they sure did flog him.
So they had lots of fights and lots of...
Oh, yeah. We had an old dog named Jigs, a bird dog. And he wouldn't let me whip the kids. One day we pulled chickens' heads off and dressed them. Even after somebody drove in, you'd go run down the chicken and dress it. And I threw that chicken out there. And that dog decided he'd run over there and eat it. And when I'd go to pick it up, he'd growl and wouldn't let me. And then one of the kids would come out there. If I'd slap one of them kids, he'd go to growling and snapping at me. So they soon learned to just run outdoors, and Jiggy wouldn't let me whip them. Oh yes, we weathered all kind of funny, mad, glad, sad storms, raising 5 boys. And my poor little girl learned early in life what her fist was for, growing up with 5 brothers. They fished all the time. My mother used to say, what in the world will Lonnie do if he has to move off that creek? Well, he kept on fishing anyway. But they was all bringing in fish before they was old enough to go to school. And we always had extra kids.
And Dad and Harlow, they were always really close.
Yeah, if anything had come between them, it would kill me. And Matt and Bill's just about the same way. I have had the same address my whole life. I always told, I was born out east of Ice on Route 2, and I never had got off of it. And I told Dude that I went a lot farther in life than he did, because I went 4 miles and he just went 1. And yes, let's see, what shall I put these kids in? Don was born up there on Grandma's place, right the same place where Dude was, in August of '38. And Jerry was born there in July of '40. And then we moved down here on Granddad's. Francis always called it Granddad's. And the rest of the kids were born down here. And then in '53, the land that joined us on the south, the Allen place we call it, it was my Uncle Charlie Allen's, was going to sell. And they just knowed we had to have it. And my cousin Ray Allen was the administrator. He kept urging us to buy it. He said, now dude, it joins you. And you got all them boys, and land don't change hands often, so if you don't buy it now, it probably won't change hands again in your lifetime. So we bought it. And we moved up there because the house was bigger. And we lived up there 11 years. And I never did think I was home. I always wanted to come back down here. And so after my parents' death, and we bought my folks' house and moved back on Dude's folks, we came home in 2 ways. Harlow was born in November of '44, and Lonnie of 18th of August of '47, and Beverly the 19th of August of '49, and Tom in June of '55. And they all graduated high school, all but Tom. We lost Tom, you know, gunshot wound in '72. No pain on earth will compare to it. And I've seen the rest of them graduate, and I've seen all my grands graduate, but Melanie, that's when Dude was sick and I couldn't go. And I grieved so over it. I said, when she graduates college, I'll sure try to go. Well, we moved up on the Allen place in November of '53, and in December, Don got his neck broke, and in April, Dude had a heart attack, and he was in the hospital at Woodward several days. And he was ready to come home. Even before he was ready, he was sure wanting to come home. And they didn't want me to take him out till I paid the bill, and I didn't have any money. And they kept insisting, and I said, well, okay, I'll give you a check, but you better not cash it till after we can send some cattle to the city. And I was feeling lower in snake's belly. I come home and I said, well, I need to go down home. Like I told you, that never was home. I come down here and walked around over the pasture. And I'll tell you, yet today there wasn't a bit of grass. All it had was grasshoppers and red ants. And I thought it would never come back. We'd had awful dry years. But you know it did. I was feeling real low. I met Bob McDonald back up there someplace hunting a stray calf, and I bawled on his shoulder. And we come home, Kelly Kathy come down here on Sunday morning and got those calves and took them to the city. Well, see, we bought that place in '53, got a loan with the Federal Land Bank, and you make payments 1st of November and 1st of May. Well, you don't make one on a new loan November, so May we had that old big payment coming up, that hospital bill. And Gully come and took those calves to the city, and we paid them both and had, I think, 20, 30 cents left. Nothing's like it was when I was a kid outside of the Bible. The morals, people have changed a lot. There's always been a little funny stuff going on, but we used to just whisper out behind the bar to our best friends. And now they tell it on national television. And I had a senior citizen party here one time. No one under 80 was invited. And I tell them, I want them to tell what's the greatest change they've seen in their life. And the most of them, it was when they got electricity in the home. And it sure was a big change. And I say, the greatest invention of all time meant more to me than putting a man on them. That water pump that put water right in the house. Shoot, if you just had one faucet of cold water in the kitchen, it was a big improvement. If you pumped buckets of water and carried them in, well, you know what I mean. If you haven't, you can't appreciate that.
And then did you bathe once a week?
Yes.
That's what you did?
Everybody jumped through the tub with the same water. And if it got cold, you poured in a tea kettle full of hot water. And by having water in the house, look what all you could have then. The bathroom and the washing machine and the dishwasher and everything. And that bedroom suit in there we're still using. But Pop gave me a heifer calf. And she was about a year old, and I sold her for $16. Circuit cattle buyer, I guess that's the right expression, named Ed Queen, just rode a horse around and picked out cattle, and then he sent a truck after him. But I doubt that he did. He probably drove them. And I sold that calf for $16. And I ordered that bedroom suit from Montgomery Ward. I got the dresser with the mirror and the bed for that $16. Then I worked for my sisters and brothers through harvest and new babies and things, 2 or 3 years, and got the other $8 to buy the chest. And I had used them all this time. And when the boys were building this house, I said, I'd like to have somebody refinish that bedroom suit, and I don't know who to get. And Don Barr said, where is it? Let me look at it. My land, Lois, if I had all this old stuff, I wouldn't think about buying new. We'll refinish it. Well, that's all I needed. So they refinished the bedroom suit and the china closet and that rocking chair and them straight chairs and that dresser in there. And my Don said, of course you'll have to go to town and get some new knobs and pulls for them drawers. You won't have them. Guess what? I found them every one. I'm one of them people who don't never throw nothing out. So I just kept looking through drawers to come up with every last one of them. And that china closet, Dude and I together bought that from Dude's uncle 3 days before we was married. It was a part of the dining room suite that had a table and chairs and buffet. I don't know how we kept that old glass cage through all them kids. Well, of course, we've had several glasses broke out. But it's a straight glass, we always had it replaced. I've had it 63 years, and it was secondhand when I bought it. So I can honestly say I don't know how old it is. But on the market today, it'd sell for more than that new one would.
Imagine so.
They refinished it. And that footed glass dish up there on top of it is one of my mother's wedding presents. That glass dish. Mother's sister gave her that for her wedding present.
So
10th of June of 1897. So I guess that's a real antique. It's
Yeah.
over 100 years
it
old.
is.
And I've got the rolling pin over there that Uncle Charlie Allen carved for Mother out of a boat oar for her hope chest.
And that was her brother, or?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Allen's. There was an old couple named, we called them Grandpa and Grandma Pierce. They were not related, but they were old, so we called them Grandpa and Grandma. And they lived about a mile from us, less than a mile. And they had a loom. They wove carpets. So of evenings, we tore all our old clothes into strips and sewed them together. And of evenings after supper, Dad and the boys and all of us done that, and wound them into balls till we got enough. Now these loom wove a strip about 4 foot wide. I've got a hunk of it in there. I'll show you pretty soon. And after you got enough of those strips, Mother sewed them together with a darning needle and a cord. Presto changeo, wall-to-wall carpeting.
Mm-hmm.
And when it got real dirty, which it did, but for a little bit, we would rip them strips all apart and just hang it out on the fence and scrub it with a broom, and then you had to sew it together and put it down again for carpeting.
Hmm.
I didn't know I had that strip for years. One time when we was moving, I found it under the mattress, between the mattress and the springs. It's tickled to have something red to give it a little color.
Yeah, I'll be darned. So you had to tear them into little bitty skinny pieces?
Oh, they were probably
Because that looks
an
skinny.
inch wide, or
Hmm.
maybe more.
Oh,
And I just loved to watch him run that loom and make it.
Hmm.
We
That is
preferred
interesting.
oak straw to put under.
You'd put oak straw under it to pad it a little bit?
We put wheat straw if we had to. We preferred oats, but if you didn't have it, you could use wheat. And we preferred oats to put in the straw ticks on the bed. They didn't have beards on it.
Uh-huh. Things that would
But if you didn't have oats, you'd use wheat.
Well, that's just...
You've heard of the warp and the
Fascinating.
woof of weaving. That's what that is.
Okay, this is the cellar where the old Parry school was located. This is all that remains. And right over there's Brittany and Jessica. And there's the Kaiser Creek Bridge. It seems so dark, I don't know. And Grandma's house right through those trees. Be their old slide from the playground. And probably this was where the school was. I'm sure.
And this is Grandpa Dude's old house. This is where he was born and raised.
The green one through the trees.
Little bitty. This is Grandpa Dude and Grandma Lois's old truck, and they call her Old Gertie. Pretty beaten up nowadays.
Let's see if we can open the door. Just
And
don't
we're
film it
in.
too long, okay?
Ooh.
Ow.
Ow.
Well, old speedometer. This is what they called the old Allen house, and this is where my dad, Lonnie, and was raised. Okay, this is the front of it.
This is
It's out of that muddy.
There's the door.
This is the door.
That's kind of
Incredibly
weird that they
deep.
made so many doors.
This is what it looks like on the inside in their fridge. Isn't that just high tech?
It's high. I'm not going upstairs.
Okay, stop recording.
This is the kids' rooms. Up here.
Is it pretty up there?
Because you scare me. Okay, this is Grandma Lois's old homestead where she grew up. She So the only thing that's the same is this cellar. Someone else has built. J.C. Buck, they live here now. This is where she was raised and grew up. This is the bedroom suit that Grandma said she bought for $16 before her and Grandpa were married, and she got the bed, and she also got this with the mirror. And then later, she sent off for $8 and got this chest. Okay, here's the kids. There's Dawn, Jerry, and next came Harlow, and no, Bev. Well, anyway, there's Bev. And Grandma and Grandpa. And then there's Tom and Lonnie, my dad. Grandma and Grandpa's wedding picture.